Good evening. With Olivia Quay, I'm Harianto Diman. We are coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom.
If you're between 45 and 59 years old, you can now get your COVID-19 jab. People within this age range can register their interest for vaccination at vaccine.gov.sg.
Letters, though, will not be sent to them as they're more familiar with using technology. So instead, the Health Ministry will send SMSs to the registrants as soon as there are vacant slots available for booking.
A key factor in how fast we vaccinate our population is the supply of vaccines. We will continue to monitor our supplies closely, but we expect global supplies to remain tight and supply chains may be disrupted from time to time, which will affect our pace of vaccination. And I encourage everyone who is eligible to get vaccinated when your turn comes, to protect yourselves and fellow Singaporeans from infection. As we roll out vaccination to a larger proportion of the population, the multi-ministry task force is also looking at how we can allow more activities to resume. This is still early days. Our focus currently is still on the frontline workers, the healthcare workers and the seniors. Now we are taking the next step, moving towards a younger population, and this is a huge population, about 1 million of them. So we hope that as we progress further, then as more and more people get vaccinated, then the overall immunity among the population will go up. But we also have to bear in mind that even if you are vaccinated, it's not a 100% guarantee. So it's still important for us to continue to practice safe distancing measures.
As of yesterday, around 1.1 million vaccine doses have been administered. About 310,000 people have received their second doses and completed the full vaccination regimen.
Well, from April the 24th, those who have completed the full regimen and have had 2 weeks to develop sufficient protection can attend events that implement pre-event testing without the need to undergo the pre-event testing. Further details will be released in the coming weeks.
Also from April 24th, selected activities will be allowed to scale up further if they implement pre-event testing for those attending. For marriage solemnizations and wedding receptions, the limit will be increased from 100 to 250 attendees in total.
For live performances, designated venues will be allowed to have up to 750 attendees. Likewise, for business-to-business events and spectator sports events being piloted, where up to 750 attendees are allowed as well.
In addition, for wakes and funerals where pre-event testing is not required, the cap will increase from 30 to 50 on the day of the burial or cremation only. The cap for the other days of the wake remains at 30 at any one time.
Well, more people will be allowed to return to the workplace from April the 5th. This as the default working arrangement moves away from work from home to a more flexible and hybrid way of working.
Up to 75% of employees, an increase from the current 50%, can be at the workplace at any one time. The current restriction requiring employees to work from home for at least half their working time will also be lifted.
Split team arrangements are also no longer mandatory, although companies may choose to continue to adopt them. Meanwhile, restrictions against cross-deployment across workplaces remain in place. Employers, should continue to stagger start times and implement flexible working hours where possible.
Social and recreational gatherings like team bonding events organized by employers will be allowed but must be limited to 8 people. But due to the high risk of transmission when people are unmasked, meals should not be the main feature at these events. Companies should avoid holding events over meal times as far as possible.
So while capacity limits for events like weddings and spectator sports or those organized by your company have been increased, general social gatherings are still limited to 8 people.
It's better that we move in a controlled, deliberate and steady manner rather than to move too quickly to relax measures. And when you do so, you find that there is a risk that clusters form. This is not something hypothetical. We've seen this happening in many countries. So rather than take an approach where we are quite relaxed about the measures and just lift and liberalize measures too quickly.
Unlike the other measures that we have mentioned today, this social gathering limit of 8% is actually quite a broad-based measure. Any adjustment to this number actually has a very broad-based impact on the whole social interaction, and therefore the risk of transmission goes up significantly. But I assure you that we are looking at this constantly, review this measure quite regularly, and when we are confident that it will not create problems with transmission, we will do the necessary adjustment, and we will make the appropriate announcement at the right time.
Well, visit straitstimes.com for more details on today's press conference.
You can also watch the full press conference on our YouTube channel later tonight. Now remember to subscribe by hitting the red button below. I'm Haryanto Diman with Olivia Kwe. Have a good night.